Hi, thank you so much for joining me. Looks like we are live on at Captiva Home Decor. I am Kelly, and today I want to show you a couple of our favorite furniture paints. And we like them for different reasons, and I hope that you have similar experiences. People like certain paints more than others. It all depends on your personal preferences. So this is what I like. So today we're going to be talking about chalk paint, which is kind of an overall term. It usually refers to the look of the actual piece, where it's kind of like dry and flat and textured. And we're going to be talking about Maison Blanche furniture paint, which falls under that like chalk paint category, but there's a whole bunch of different ones. So I'm not going to get into all that because that'll get confusing, but that's what we're using today. And then I want to show you our milk paint. So this is actually an acrylic. It's a water-based paint by Journal Finishes, and we do retail it here. So we love it. We think it's super easy to work with, and that's one of the main reasons that we picked it. We also like the colors. We like all the different finishing options. We are very into the faux finishes and enhancing your pieces. So we appreciate when the line has a whole bunch of different options. So that's why we like Journal Finishes. And it is available at our website at captivahomedecor.com. So if you want to check it out, that's where you can find it. So today, let's start with the Journal Finishes. So these are some sample boards, and these are actually super cool. They are like a fan deck from a furniture factory that we got to pick this weekend. It was so cool. So we picked up like 20 of these, and we are now, I want to paint with them because I think they're interesting. So they're unfinished, and I thought I had everything ready to go. So first step is just a quick sand. So I already did it, but just to keep it consistent. Just a nice quick sand. These are our favorite furniture sanding pads. They have a foam back, so they're really easy on the hands, and they make it quite nice to use. So these are available on our Amazon shop, and we love them. So quick scuff everywhere, and then microfiber cloth so you can wipe it off. And that's just going to remove your sanding dust. And put this to the side for now. So we are starting with Journal Finishes, which is this can right over here. So it's a red can. This is linen. That's not what we're using. Today we're actually going to be using a whole mix of colors. So I've had a few different paints going, and I don't like to return it to the can once I'm in the middle of a project, because you never know like what you're painting and what you pick up, and then if you introduce it back to your can, it's possible that you could contaminate the whole rest of your leftover paint. I don't want to do that. So what I usually do is kind of keep a few buckets of similar colored paints and just put them all together. So this is a mix of what is it? White, antique white, Persian blue, antique white, lamp black, and Queenstown gray. So a bunch of grays, black, and then a little bit of blue, and it's really quite a pretty color. So starting with milk paint, it's very easy to use. It has a long open time, which is one of the reasons I like it. And I'm using my Klingon brush because these are fantastic. So if you're looking for a smooth finish, these are ideal. Combining the Journal Finishes milk paint with Klingon brushes, you'll get a super smooth look. So we start at the edges, and you can already see like how nicely covered that is. I barely brushed it on. And these are just sample boards. I'm not sure what we'll do with them. I kind of think they might just be like a cool piece to add to like a what do they call those? Gallery wall, because it'll be pretty at the end. So I'm just going around and painting it. And the key with the Klingon brushes is you do want to use them wet. So you can store them wet, which is kind of cool. And then you want to make sure that the bristles are actually damp. So what I'll do is many times use one of these spray bottles and just squirt it. So if it starts feeling a little dry, put a little spritz, and that will help your paint glide on even smoother. So sometimes when you're using General Finishes milk paint in a Kling-On brush and some water, you can really get a gorgeous smooth finish that almost looks like you sprayed it. So if you're looking for modern, super duper smooth, spraying it is going to be, you know, the best way. But using a Kling-On brush and General Finishes milk paint is the other best option that we have found. So we do that a lot. And here I'm just making sure to get in all of the crevices. It has quite a lot of detail, so I want to make sure that I have all that. And just go around. So all paints, most paints, should require at least 2 coats. So you want to make sure that you keep that in mind. Some colors and certain finishes or some existing finishes that you're going over may require 3 or more. So sometimes you can fight that by priming or just knowing that it's going to be a few coats. But here you can see 1 coat very nicely covered. So this was the General Finishes milk paint, and this is a custom mix of Persian blue, antique white, Queenstown gray, and black. So it really makes this very pretty color, and I'll show you on my other sample board what it looks like after 2 coats. So the most important thing with this is just to make sure that you get in all of the nooks and crannies, because when we come back and do the glazing and the finishing, we want to make sure that we have a nice solid coverage, and then we can move on from there. So that was milk paint. As you can see, pretty easy to work with. We like it a lot, which is why we stock it. So put this off to the side. And then now we're going to work with the chalky type paint. So this is Maison Blanche. This is actually tourmaline. That's a tiny little sample. But this is what the label looks like. So you can see that. And it's a really, really pretty color. I like it quite a lot. So it's a really vibrant kind of teal color. So with these, again, I'm using my Kling-On brush. So chalk paint is more of, it's about the look. Each paint has their own verbiage as to whether it's chalky style or chalky or whatever else I want to call it. But it all comes back to this kind of matte look to the piece. It doesn't mean that it's full of chalk, although many people think that that's what the base is. It may or may not be. So this is more of a textured, kind of matte finish. It is matte finish, and then it distresses quite nicely. So the coverage, depending on the color, kind of it varies. So if you're working with like a white, it can be really tough, but that's true on any furniture paint. And here, this coverage I am very impressed with based on my sample board that I just did. So I'll show you that after, because that's what we're going to work with to do the finishing. But it covers quite nicely. Oh, and now I'm using my Kling-On smaller brush. So this is a R12. So it's not the smallest round, but it is, I think, the second smallest. But it's a nice size for detail projects, or if you have smaller pieces like this, that's a great time to use it. What I like to do when I'm painting is kind of do a bit of a dry brush and experiment a bit to see what it might look like in the end. Also when I'm sanding, I think it gives you a little bit of a preview so that you know what you're going for. So I'm just kind of dabbing it, making sure that I get in all of the nooks and crannies. And these are, well, I included the affiliate links in the post, so you can find out where to get these. There's definitely local retailers, so see if you can do it that way, but if not, it's great that like Amazon and Maison Blanche, and we can ship nationwide. We can help people who are not in our immediate area, because most of you are not. Also, let me know where you guys are from. We've been getting some awesome interactions from Australia, New Zealand, places that I've never been but sound amazing. So I love to see that we are making friends all over the world. I think that's pretty darn cool. We are in Berlin, Massachusetts, which is a teeny tiny town in the center, but it's adorable and we like it a lot. And we do have, like, you know, we're right next to the cities, so we're not like in the, I don't know, stick somewhere. So but we do ship nationwide, so you can check out our website. And Dan is very good about getting those things out very quickly, so usually the next day, as long as the post office is open. So, see that? Super duper easy. And the coverage is beautiful. So this is just one quick coat, but you can already see how nice it is. One thing I really like about this paint in particular is that it has a nice long open time. And actually that's true with the general finishes as well. So these take a little bit longer to dry, but I actually think that's a benefit because it allows you to paint the whole piece and make sure that you have the paint where you want it to be before it starts drying. Because if it starts drying and then you go, like if you're over here painting and then you go to touch it up over here and it's already started to dry, you could create texture or just kind of make a mess that you weren't intending to do. So when you have a long open time, it allows you to really work the paint and let it be, get it to where you want, and then it just dries. And it takes a little longer, but I think you avoid a lot of issues that way. And it also tends to self-level better. And that means less brush strokes. It's going to kind of lay down as it dries. And that's usually a feature of a longer dry time. So the paints that dry super duper fast probably leave a lot of brush strokes, is what I found. So this is a gorgeous color. Again, this is Tourmaline by Maison Blanche. So it's kind of a teal blue. I love it. This is the first time that I've used this color, and I'm definitely using it again. So if you have questions, please leave them. I don't know that I'll be able to answer them live, but I certainly will after. And if you're watching on the replay, you please interact. We can see the comments forever, so we like to watch and help whenever we can. So if you have any questions, or if there's something that you'd like to see for a future video, let me know that too. So we just covered General Finishes milk paint. So with that and most paints, you're going to need at least two, probably three, at least two, maybe three coats, depending on your color and what you're going over. So this piece I've already done, and this is the color after it's dried. So this is two coats, and you can see that is solid. Like, it looks fantastic. So I really like these pieces. And then what I've done here is I want to show you how to finish with General Finishes milk paint. So this is a, I think they call it like a medium durability as it is. So it doesn't need a top coat, but if you're going to be using it in like furniture or anywhere that's going to get some heavier use, I think a top coat is a good idea. So I'm going to show you how to do that on this side. And then over here, I've already top coated it because I'm going to show you how to glaze the entire thing. So I was talking about how I really like that paint lines have a lot of different faux finishing options. I actually got into this, 20 years ago. I went to a painting and decorating school and we did a lot of faux finishes, and I thought that was like the coolest, but none of this furniture painting was really an opportunity at the time. So I got out of painting and then went into corporate. And now that I'm finding my way back here, I really love all the different faux finishing options. And I love that there's so many cool things to work with. So, whatever, a little bit about me. So, I'm going to show you how to glaze with this piece. So, first up is the glaze. So, I am using high performance satin. So, this is really a great, kind of a go-to option. So, it has good durability, and it's easy to work with, and you can use it over any water-based finish, right? And oil-based if it happens to be dry, very dry at that point. So The ideal way to apply a top coat is going to be to spray it. That allows you to get a nice even coverage on everything, and it's more even. You avoid a lot of the issues that you might see by brushing it or by doing anything else. But if you can't do that, the next best way that I found is to use a wide flat brush, and I really like this Klingon. This is an F40. We have a whole bunch of F50s, which are a little bit bigger, which would even be better if you have a dresser or if you're working on a tabletop. But to use a damp brush and the high performance top coat. So you want to make sure, again, I always decant into these tubs. I love these. These are like super cool. I'm looking around, we have probably 20 of them going right now. But they make it really easy to work with, and they're super cheap. So you can get them on Amazon. They're on our shop, and I think they're like $10 for like 50 of them. But then you don't have to worry about cleaning up so much, and they have a really nice cover so that you can store your paint and not have it dry up in the middle of your project. And also like paper plates. So I see a lot of people using paper plates as a container for their paint. That's going to make your paint dry a lot faster and might introduce some contaminants that you weren't expecting. So I don't think that's the greatest way to do things. But everybody has different processes. So if that works for you, go for it. I love these. So what I'm going to do is, I already showed you this side. See how it's a little bit shinier? Oh, so this is the finish without any kind of top coat. So you can see it's a little dulled. This would be like a flat. And then over here, I have one coat of satin. So I'm going to put a coat of satin over here. And with this, you want to move kind of quickly. And you want to avoid coming back to touch up. So if you do happen to miss a spot, the better thing to do, instead of going back and trying to touch it up, is to actually do another coat, which you probably need 2 to 3 coats anyway. So just make sure that you get that area well the next time. So we'll move a little fast. And we're just kind of getting the paint on there, and then we will level it out. You always want to be looking for runs, so you can see how it's pretty milky there. That is going to be an issue if I was to leave it. So you want to make sure that you pull that off, smooth it out, and that will hopefully help you avoid any issues in the final finish. If you're looking for super smooth, you should sand between coats. And that's not like a heavy sand. That's like a 320 or 400 grit paper, quick. You just want to knock down anything that is potentially going to cause an issue down the line. Oh. And this is when I should back off. Okay, so that's it. You can see how it's pretty shiny right now. It's because it's wet, and that will dry in just a few minutes. So we're going to come back to that one. Actually, no, I can do it now. So, just thinking. To do the glaze top coat, so to make it a little more interesting, we like to use the faux finishing techniques. We like to use glazes and waxes and all kinds of colored options to make it a cooler end result. So I've already sanded and done a little bit of a light distress on this piece, and now I'm going to show you what it looks like with glaze. So that is over here. Again, like I said, tons of little tubs. This is Pitch Black Glaze Effects by Journal Finishes. So this comes in, you see that? Pitch Black. It also comes in Van Dyke Brown, which is just a brown, and then white, and there's another one. I think it's Burnt Sienna. That one's not my favorite. I really like the black one. So here, I'm just using a cheap little chip brush to apply it. The whole point of this right now is just to get the glaze on there. So it doesn't have to be a super fancy brush because we're going to be wiping most of it off. So you do need to make sure that you have lots and lots of rags. I have a huge pile of them right here. we're going to start with our wet rag and then finish with a dry rag. And we've also done a bunch of glazing videos lately, so if you want to see more of this, head to our page, Captiva Home Decor, at facebook.com. No, Facebook at Captiva Home Decor. Whatever, you get it. And there's a whole bunch of videos there about glazing. So this is just a way to get the glaze on. Chip brushes are super helpful, so I don't recommend painting anything with them as a finish coat, but for some things around the shop, they're super handy, so have a handful of them. And right now we're just going to make sure that we have, well, for one thing, the tape is secure, but we want to make sure that we get deep and get everything into all of those details. So there's a really deep molding here. And again, these are actually from, we went to a furniture factory that's been like abandoned for I don't know how long, a long time, this weekend. And we got to pick that, and it was super cool to see like hundreds of old chairs and like brand name chairs that are halfway done. We actually got ourselves some chairs, so that was cool, because we never buy anything for ourselves. But that's where we found all of these super cool pieces. So these are, you know, fan decorations from like nice dressers. Oh, like that blue one that I shared earlier today. We just finished a navy gorgeous hide boy that has this kind of detail in one of the drawers. So here, I'm just applying it. Some people think that the glaze dries a little too fast, and I've actually already added extender and water to this. So if you're finding that it's drying too fast, cut it with some water or extender, and that will allow you to have a little more time to play. So now I have my rag, and I have folded it up. So I'm just going to start by wiping off the high points. And with glaze, the whole point is to let it settle into the character, and it's going to define the character a little more. So here you can see I've started wiping it off a bit, but I want to allow it to stay where I want it to and then pull it off of the flat panels. But I think this fan is really cool, so that's what I want to accentuate. And glazing is going to be more interesting on the details. Like you can already see, it's interesting there. On the flat drawer, not as much. I mean, it's cool, but you can really only see it on the sides. So when you're looking to paint a piece of furniture, certain pieces and styles will call for certain finishes that would be either easier to do or make more sense. So like a piece like this, I look at it and say, oh my gosh, I want to glaze that. If I see a flat paneled something, there's some different options that you can do depending on your style. And everybody has a different style. So even if we are all using the same exact processes and the same products, it's always going to look a little different. So keep that in mind. You're always going to throw your flair on it. So here is it with glaze. So you can see how it really accentuates between the, this side's still a little bit wet, but this is just paint with one coat of high performance top coat. And then this side is with the glaze, and, I mean it's 2 coats of paint, 1 coat of high performance top coat, and then 1 coat of glaze. So you can see how much it really brings out that cool fan deck. So super awesome. You see that? Yeah, it's a little better there. And then to finish it, you do want to put at least 1 more coat of high performance top coat over it, because that's going to seal everything in. At this point, the glaze isn't really it's not meant to be the top layer, so you do want to seal that with the high performance top coat. Same stuff. And then also, so if you mess this up and you hate it, you can just paint right over. So if you don't be too scared about paint. If you decided that this is not the look that you want, you could just add a coat of your finished paint, finished paint, your paint over it very easily, just scuff it, and then start again. Or leave it like that. It's totally your call. So that is General Finishes products. Now, make sure I don't ruin this stuff. And if you have questions, please leave them. I can't read them from here, but I will certainly get back to you later. And if you're watching, later tonight or whenever on replay, we can get back to you then as well. So this is that tourmaline. So isn't that gorgeous? I love, love, love this color. This is just the 2 coats, and you can see it is solid. So it's a very saturated, beautiful color. And then with this, I'm going to distress it because, this is a chalk paint. So Maison Blanche tourmaline vintage furniture paint, also known as a chalky style paint. It is kind of matte, so you can see that. And then what I want to do is distress it because that's just something I like to do. I think this is the right point. Some people will wax it and then distress. What I found is that after the paint, I like to distress it and then seal it with the wax. So super easy. Again, this is my 320 sanding pad. I think that's what it's called. I love these. I think they're awesome. We have a lot of them. So you can use them for quite a while. They will dull slightly, but then you can use them for more higher grade. So then it functions as maybe a 400 grit pad as opposed to 320. And with sandpaper, the higher the grit, the smoother it is. So here, quick and easy. Use a dust mask. So you can see how it's already powdering up. Some chalky paints will create like a lot of sanding dust and others not as much. So what I found with this one is that it doesn't create a ton of sanding dust, which is kind of good because sometimes the sanding dust just gets everywhere. It's a huge mess. We have this cloud of dust, and then it just feels excessive. This one creates a little bit, but not crazy. So, what I like to do is focus on the high point, and you can see how with the quick sand, maybe you can't really see that, but you can see how it's smooth at the top. And the smoother parts are going to allow you to pull the wax off. Where it's super textured, the wax is going to stay more, and that will create more definition. So you might want to think about that if you're doing like a wavy piece, that the smooth areas will be less, colored wax. And then the textured areas in the corners is where it's really going to settle. And then I like to expose, usually, just a little bit of the underlying wood. And this is all it takes. I'm almost done. I'm sorry if it's loud. Sometimes it's loud. So, sanded. Now I have my microfiber cloth. You could also use tack cloths. Just make sure that it does not have any kind of chemicals in it. You want to know what you're working with. So I like to avoid introducing odd things unless I know what's happening with it. So here, this is lightly distressed. This is kind of what I like to do. A lot of people will do like a lot of distress on the panels. I don't think that's natural, so I try to avoid that, and this is kind of my go-to. It smooths it, which when you combine it with this wax is incredible, super smooth, but it doesn't create like odd patterns. So that's why I like it. It's another reason why I like those sanding pads too. So with this, I'm going to mark it just so that we know. But I'm going to do one side with the clear, and the other side with that black lime wax that I've been talking about lately. Stuff is awesome. You'll see. So this is just painter's tape. This is a staple of our shop. You always want to make sure that you smooth down the edges if you want to get a really crisp line. So this is just a sample. I'm not like super concerned about it. But we are going to do wax, clear wax, and then black wax. So this is Maison Blanche clear antique wax. I like it a lot. I've been using this for quite a while. It's my favorite because it's super smooth, easy to use, and you don't have to like use a lot of muscle to buff it out. Some of the other waxes are a little harder, but you can see like it's nice and pretty, and it rubs in very nicely. So I find it very easy to work with, and that's always what I'm looking for. Good performance and easy to work with. So I'm using the wrong one. Anyway, so I'm using, that's a better idea. This is my chip brush. You don't have to do anything fancy with this. I should have a better brush for waxing, but I don't yet. So if you have one, let me know. But you just have to brush it on, and then we're going to use all of our rags and wipe it back. So it's nice and, I guess oily might be the right word. So that is it covered, and you can see how it deepens the color again. So here, when you sand, it's going to lighten up because you're creating that layer of like chalky dust. So that lightens the color, and then this brings it back to closer to where what it was like when it was wet. Is kind of a good way to think about it. So here I have a clean rag. This is a time that you want to use a clean, usually white, lint-free rag, because that's going to not leave issues. Because if you're using a old t-shirt or something that has like a logo or a seam on it, you might end up kind of scratching it as opposed to just removing the top layer of wax and like rubbing it in. So especially with colored waxes, that can be an obvious flaw in the finish. But see how easy that is? So that is the wax, and it creates this really pretty shine. So once we buff it, it's going to be even nicer. But this is Maison Blanche tourmaline with clear wax. You can see it's quite pretty. So I like that a lot. And then next, we're going to use my favorite. So this is, let's see if I can catch that, black lime wax. This is the, as far as I know, only black wax on Maison Blanche's site, which I've included in the link. So if you're looking for it, it's under black lime. It's not under, there's a whole bunch of different waxes. But this one is the only black one that they have. And it's incredible, it's super cool. So again, it's very easy to work with. It looks a lot like kind of shoe polish. And I'm gonna use a different rag. But with this, it's gonna function similar to that glaze. So we're gonna use it to deepen the shadows in this case. And since it's black, you could also use like white waxes, and that creates a different look. Of course, this is all based on your artistic preferences and vision, so you can do what you choose. But I like to use the black waxes to create like shadows in the appropriate places. So here I'm just wiping it on, and one thing to keep in mind with this wax is that it's going to change the color of your piece. So I don't even know what color it's going to be after the wax, but it will not be this tourmaline everywhere. It's highly pigmented. It is I guess a translucent, but it's going to leave a beautiful shadow and like smoky look in all of the details, and then create a really pretty finish on the rest of it. So this is one of my favorite products to use, and then I'm super thrilled to be able to bring it to you guys because I didn't have a way to do that for a while. And now we have a handy dandy affiliate link in there. So if you like this, please use the link, and it supports our business and allows us to continue to do this, which is nice. So this is, oh, and it's no additional cost to you. So anytime people are talking about affiliate links, it's no additional cost. It's just handy for whoever's telling you about it. Anyway, this is the black lime wax with it applied on there. It's got a nice open time, so I'm not like super worried about pulling it off. And now I'm using my white rag, and I'm just going to brush over the top, and I want to remove it from the high spots. I'm never digging into these like low cracks and detail spots because that's where I want it to actually stay. So if you just follow the lines of the piece, it'll really kind of tell you the right things to do. So that is pulling most of it off. And then I'll go back with a cleaner spot or a cleaner rag, whatever works. Not looking crazy. And buff it a little more. And then it dries in, oh gosh, about half an hour, maybe an hour, depending on, you know, how humid it is and all kinds of atmospheric conditions. See how pretty that is? So it creates this gorgeous depth, and then once we buff it, it's going to be even nicer. So I really like the way this looks. And then I can show you, so this is the original, right, before we sanded it. I mean, after we sanded it, that was the color that it was. So you can see how over here, over here, we have clear wax over the tourmaline. This is the actual color, and then this is with the black wax. So super pretty. The colored waxes allow you a little bit more of a finishing technique and more options, whereas the clear wax is really a great place to start. And one thing I'm sure everyone's going to ask is durability factors. So the wax is a less durable finish. It's a softer finish forever. There is like a 30-day cure time, and then after that it's ready for like medium use. So if you have decor pieces or you know, furniture that you're not like touching every day and every minute, that's a great place to use a wax finish because it's gorgeous and it will create some kind of effects that you might not be able to easily achieve with some of the more durable products. So General Finishes High Performance Top Coat and those products are actually more durable. So they're going to be better for like the tops of your kitchen table or the top of a dresser or anywhere that's going to be heavily used, kitchen cabinets, things like that. You want to use like, you know, as good a products as you can for those situations. So I like to save, one of our favorite things to do is actually to do a stain top so that we get that really nice durability factor on the top, and then do a wax bottom of like a dresser or a piece, whatever, because then you can have a really beautiful finish like this, and still have the durability aspect on the top, which is where you're going to use it most. So keep that in mind when you are deciding which products and to use in each situation. There are also ways to enhance like a chalk paint. So what we could do if we wanted to really bump up the durability factor on something like this is use this colored chalk paint and then use like varnish, or Maison Blanche has, I think they call it varnish, some polyacrylic and protective top coats on top of that, and then play around. But that's advanced stuff. So as far as most of us are concerned for an intro, use wax over chalk paints in most cases, and then we'll use polyacrylic or high performance top coat over milk paint. So I think that's what I wanted to show you for today, and we are right about half an hour, so that is fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your supporting our small business. So if you like this or you want to see more, please share, tell a friend about it, make sure you like our page. We also have a lot of blog posts and a lot of really interesting stuff going on our website. We'll have a lot more soon. So that is coming soon, CaptivaHomeDecor.com. The Maison Blanche products are at, it's in the notes, but it's bit.ly/CaptivaMB. Kind of weird. I'll leave it there so you can link. And Amazon.com/shops/CaptivaHomeDecor is where we have all of our favorite stuff. So we have all of our shop supplies, we have all the things that we use, and I'm going to be putting together a list too. So if you want to get on our email list, you can go to our website, and then I'll be sending all that information out as soon as I get around to it. So thank you so much for joining me. This is Kelly with Captiva Home Decor. We are a furniture painting business in Berlin, Massachusetts, and I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you.